Good morning. Today on Spotlight, an in-depth conversation with Michigan's newest college president. Dr. Robert Davies is the 15th CEO in the more than 120-year history of Central Michigan University. What does he bring to the Mount Pleasant-based campus, and where does he want to lead it? We'll ask him. It's Sunday, January the 13th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. You have been all around the country in different educational venues, from Buffalo to Reno to Oregon. What attracted you to Mount Pleasant and Central Michigan University? How did they win you over?
Well, you know, I've been very, very fortunate to be involved with many universities, as you mentioned, from the University of Nevada, Reno, Boise State University, the University of Buffalo, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, Eastern Oregon University, most recently Murray State University in Murray, Kentucky.
You've covered the country.
I've covered the country, and I really am very fortunate to have been at many different types of universities and in various roles moving up. And what attracted me to Central Michigan University is it's a national leading research university that has maintained a solid core value that we are here to serve students. We are here to help students grow, to learn, to be prepared, to not only for their first job, but a career. And throughout that career, not only serving their own professional interests, but also being civically engaged. We have a saying at Central Michigan University that we graduate leaders, and it is so evident in the way that our graduates have gone forward and done amazing things. But it's also since that in that core, when they're on our campus or through our global programs, the connections that the faculty and the staff have with the students in providing hands-on learning experiences, that again, our students are not just getting prepared for that first job, they're really becoming lifelong learners, they're becoming leaders, and they're going to be moving forward throughout their careers. And that's the essence of Central Michigan University and what drove me to be an applicant for the presidency, and just very, very fortunate to be selected. You
told me that you spent the night in Detroit last night.
Yes.
So it means, I'm sure you went up Woodward Avenue. And if you go up Woodward Avenue, you see the banners for all of these different Michigan universities. Sure. From your perspective, because a lot of competition out there.
Oh, yes.
From your perspective, what's the good side of that? And then what's the drawback of so many outstanding universities in one state?
One of the neat things about, again, having the experiences at all the different universities I've had, and then also being what I would call a scholar of the university systems, one very important aspect of American higher education, both public and private, is that our system, and I put system in quotes because there is not a national system of universities in the United States. A lot of countries do. Our system, our conglomeration of universities is based on student choice and family choice. It's also based on competition. That competition is not in existence in most countries. In China, for example, the student takes a test, they're told where they're going to go and what they're going to study. In the United States, the universities compete for those students. The universities compete for the resources. The universities compete for prestige. The universities compete for faculty and staff. That makes the entire system itself better, because we are always looking, how do we improve ourselves? And in doing so, the neat thing about university life too is, even with that competition, we want everyone to excel and to grow. And it's how the universities find its own particular niche. And so that sense of competition, it drives us to be more transparent. It drives us as university leaders to be more cost conscious. It drives us to refine on how we work and how we position ourselves. And it allows for students to really select what university is going to meet their needs. And it allows the families to say, how will this help our students move forward and to gain the experiences that they want to do? So that sense of competition, obviously on the athletic field, you see it all the time, but it also extends into the other aspects. And at the same time, I must also say, I work very closely with all the presidents of all the other public universities specifically.
All right, you knew the next question coming out of my mouth. Okay.
Oh, there you go. You know, we are competitors, but at the same time, we collaborate.
We're going to take a little break. When we come back, we'll talk about some things that I think will be of interest to students, parents, and perhaps Board of Trustees.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right. We'll be right back with the new president of Central Michigan University right after this. Dr. Davies, for someone sitting down with their teenager trying to decide where they want to go for higher education, why Central Michigan University? How do you sell that?
Well, it's funny that you asked that. We have a daughter, my wife and I have a daughter named Katie. She's a senior in high school. Okay. And I will say that whenever I've been approached for any type of university, I've always asked the first question to me was, would I want my daughter to go to that university? Would I want my daughter to spend her 4 years in undergraduate and also possibly graduate programs at that particular university? And with Central Michigan University, that was a very easy answer. It's one of the reasons why when I received some of those phone calls recruiting me, that I said yes. The reason I would choose Central Michigan University is, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, Central Michigan is focused in on the student success. They are there to make sure we're not there to put you into a major and run you through the gauntlet and then spit you out the other end. We want to make sure that your experiences at Central Michigan will include hands-on experiences. What that means, to put it in plain text, what you're learning in the classroom, you will take out and put into the real-world experiences. Over 85% of our students do an internship. They do a study abroad program, or they do a research program with a faculty member. And when I say do a research, that's not just running lab tests and this, that, and the other. It's actually doing the research. It is actually thinking logically and critically with the faculty member. It is writing and many times presenting those findings alongside with that faculty member at national or international conferences are being published. Those experiences, though, that commitment to student success, that commitment to providing those students that ability to take what they're learning in the classroom and apply it in the real world, and then bring it back to the classroom and say, this is what's working, or this is what's not working, and how to make those changes. When they graduate, when they walk across that stage, they are anxious to be workers, they are anxious to be great employees, but they're more importantly, they're prepared to be great employees. That is why that when we have graduation day, 92% of our students walking across that stage that day have already been accepted to graduate school and or have employment offers in their pocket. That 92% is a home run for the universities.
The cost of education, higher education, has become astronomical, and many average families cannot afford it anymore.
Sure.
What are you doing at Central to be able to keep it affordable for young people coming in and their families?
And that's another great thing about Central Michigan University, too. Over the past 15 years or so, we've had the lowest tuition increases throughout the state. We're around $12,000 or so a year for tuition, which is not inexpensive. But we have a very robust scholarship program, both based on merit and based on need. And then also, it's not only just about the cost of college, it's about how to manage the expenses. At Central Michigan University, we have a financial aid consortium, which is made up of our staff members from our finance department, as well as staff members from our student services department.
I saw that online. So that's almost like taking a course in how to manage the cost of getting your education.
Exactly. And what we've done is train students, current students, to be money mentors for other students. It's intimidating for an 18 or 19 or 20-year-old individual to go talk to a 45 or a 50-year-old person, but if they talk to a peer about budgeting, about understanding the financial aid mechanisms, understanding what they need to do to keep their scholarships, understanding where the scholarships are, and having those mentors peer-to-peer is something that most universities do not do, but at Central Michigan we do. 85% of our students receive financial aid, and when they graduate, the average of those who have debt, and most do not, of those that have debt, is less than $21,000, which is well below the national average.
Sexual assault has become a huge issue
on
college campuses, and certainly in this state we've become front and center, at least at one of the universities, because of the wide-ranging stories. You have started a new initiative at Central Michigan University with your Title IX. Why did you start it, and what do you hope to accomplish?
One of the key things that I want to have our campuses to be safe and secure, and when incidents do occur, we are a large city. I mean, we have 24,000 students, and what we are a large city. When incidents occur, we want to be in a position to help all of those involved. We want to be able to help the survivors to move forward. We want them to be able to take control of their situation, and so we have programs along those lines. We have a program called SAPA, which again is the students helping students through faculty and staff mentors. But we want to make sure that we are able to take care of our own. At the same time, we want to, as best we can, prevent from those acts from occurring. That comes from communication, that comes from education, that comes from being upfront about when these events occur. We will deal with them, and we will deal with them in a very front and forward way.
And this new initiative will report directly to you,
Yes, sir.
correct?
One of the things that keeps me up at night is the safety of our students.
Right.
And the more things that we can do to put in place to keep our students safe, and then again, when events do occur, we respond quickly and appropriately, and again, to move forward in a way that will help everyone to heal.
All right, we're going to sneak another break in here. We'll come back. I want to talk a little bit about diversity and inclusion and Central Michigan University beyond the Mount Pleasant campus.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back. Dr. Davies, a few years ago, I was in, I think, Alexandria, Virginia, and I looked up and I walked out of a Whole Foods and I saw CMU staring me in the face. And I said, that can't be the same Central Michigan University. And it was. It was one of your satellite campuses there, I think, affiliated with the business school.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that. And I know your motto is kind of putting your stamp on the world.
Sure.
So education really now is about more than just that main campus in Mount Pleasant. You know, you've got offices here in the Detroit area and all across this state.
And across the country, for that matter. And you know, an interesting story on that. When I was announced back on August the 3rd, I received a text from the governor of Kentucky, who I've worked with obviously for the last 4 years, 5 years at Murray State. And the first couple lines were, congratulations on the new presidency. You've done a great job at Murray State. You'll do well at Central Michigan. Oh, and by the way, I'm one of your students.
Oh, is that right? I love
it. He was getting his master's degree through one of our programs.
Chippewas are everywhere.
Through our Chippewas. And so he was part of the military and part of the base where he was getting his master's degree. And that's the innovation that Central Michigan has, is how do we look at education and to tear down barriers of access and to make sure that students, wherever they are, have the opportunity to participate in educational programs. It's through the online programs, through our various sites that we have here in Detroit, in Troy, and various other places. It's working through the military bases. It is, and we look to continue to expand and to grow those aspects. One of the we talked a lot about the Mount Pleasant market. We talked a lot about traditional students, those 18, 19-year-olds coming in right from high school. But the largest market for students is actually the adult learner. People who are 25, 26 and above, who have attended other universities, other community colleges, have credits from other institutions. How do we work to pair them, take those credits to find ways that we could find a pathway for them to earn an undergraduate degree or even a master's degree? And Central Michigan is very at the forefront of those various types of programs, of being flexible, of taking those various credits and even prior learning experiences and saying, okay, you've been in the finance industry, so here are some classes that you've already mastered because of your experience in the real world, and applying those to either an undergraduate or graduate program.
If you look back in terms of the history of contributions from state government to state universities, it's going down pretty much every year.
Yes.
How much pressure does that put on people in your position to form partnerships with the business community, whether it's Quicken Loans, which I know you have a special relationship, and others, in changing that financial dynamic of support for universities?
Oh, there's no question that the financial model has to significantly change. And you're right, it is through partnerships, and it is through how do we have the flexibility. We cannot lose our rigorous academic structure. We cannot lose our attention to high quality and academic integrity. But how do we develop partnerships that brings more people into fold? Quicken Loans is a great example with that because we're able to offer their employees opportunities to take classes online. Quicken Loan helps them move it forward and promote those various programs, helps with the HR program. We have partnerships with the City of Detroit, Macomb County, United Shore, Ford Automotive, and on down the line. And we're looking to expand those even more. And also, we benefit significantly from that partnership, not just because of the students, but because those business leaders, those Quicken Loan leaders, the Ford, help us develop curricular changes. Working with Ford Engineering, we have Automotive Industry Week next week, to have our students talk and our faculty talk with the leadership and to understand when what we're teaching in the classroom is applicable, and or if it's not, how do we change it to make sure it is. So getting feedback from industry leaders, business leaders, community leaders on how we need to to change our own curricular activities to make sure that they're meeting the needs of not only today, but also tomorrow with the advances of technology and knowledge.
We have a new administration coming into Lansing, or they're in place now.
Yes.
Big change from what just went out. Democrats are now holding 3 of the top key positions there. The governor is getting ready to do her first State of the State address.
Yes.
We know on the campaign trail she talked a whole lot about roads. What do you hope she says in her State of the State about higher education?
Well, all roads lead to education. In my brief conversations with her up to this point in time, she's been very receptive and understands the need of education. Working with our legislators and the elected officials, there is definitely a knowledge of how education fits into the realm. At the same time, we in higher education need to continue to put forward the benefits, not only the private benefits the individuals receive, but the public benefits that is received. That goes back to the leadership skills. That goes back to understanding that when individuals have a college degree, not only will they be making more and advancing their careers, but they're typically healthier. They typically contribute back to the economy through philanthropic activities, through civic engagement, and through other mechanisms. And so having those discussions is also important.
All right, we're going to step away for just one quick final second. We'll hurry right back, and we'll get to diversity and inclusion.
Absolutely.
I teased it before. We'll get to it in this segment. We'll be right back. Diversity and inclusion, is that a priority for CMU? Because
yes, it is.
Oftentimes these days, those are, to some people, those are bad words. That smacks of quotas and all kind of other things.
And I think that's
and they're like, you know what? We don't want to hear about that.
And I don't. You know, you can look at diversity in different ways. You can look at diversity in terms of affirmative action, quotas, and those type of things. Or you talk about it how it's embedded into the excellence of education. How the fundamental core of an education is how to communicate, how to express ideas, how to think logically and critically, how to engage others. And that, to me, if you are not able to do that with people across the globe, we're not doing our job. And so I look at it in terms of not affirmative action thought processes, but in terms of strategic diversity initiatives that will bring people together to have difficult conversations, to have those opportunities to express differences of our thoughts, of ideas, and then to take those different thoughts and ideas and to come up with better solutions. That, to me, is strategic diversity, and that's where we are headed at Central Michigan University.
Central Michigan University led the charter school movement across this country. Under your watch,
they'll keep on growing.
Will you keep doing that, or will you start to kind of move away from that? Because it has been controversial. You know, some people love them, some people hate them.
I think when you look at the charter schools, and my sister is a K through 12 teacher in Nevada, and they're going through that debate right now. When charter schools are about focusing on student success, and they're talking about how to have the outcomes that will meet the needs of the future society, and taking the profitability out, and taking about the various other aspects about it, but how do we fundamentally focus on the success of students? That's when the school system works, be a charter school, be a public, be a private. And those are the things that we focus in on through our charter school initiatives.
All right, if we leave this interview and we don't talk about your women's basketball team,
aren't they phenomenal?
I'll probably have every Chippewa in the world writing me. Talk a little bit about the importance of that. What do you expect this year, and what does that do for the bottom line of Central Michigan University?
Well, first of all, Coach Guevara is an amazing coach, and our men's team is doing excellent as well. They are on a hot winning streak themselves, but our women's basketball team, coming off of the Sweet 16 flourish, right now they've beat several SEC teams, beat several ACC teams, lost the #2 team in the country when our three-point shot at the end of the buzzer didn't fall down. That's how close we are. But athletics is an important, and we're coming off the national championship of the football season and everything else. Athletics is an important part of a university. It brings in student engagement. It brings in alumni engagement. It brings in a sense of pride and affirmation. I'm very proud at Central Michigan University. We're one of 13 universities to never have a major NCAA violation. I put that out there because athletics is important when it's done right. And at Central Michigan University, we are doing it right. It is the front porch of our university. It speaks volumes of who we are, what we stand for. It speaks volumes of, we talked about the competition, of we want to be competitive, and we want to do it right. When we win with grace. When we lose, which we don't happen very often, we'll lose with grace as well. But the athletics part is that symbol in American society of how we are as an institution can continue to evolve and to grow.
You have a wonderful journalism program there.
Yes.
We have a lot of your graduates.
I know, I see them around there.
I was walking
down the hallways and they were going fire up chips. You got to like that.
They are, but I know firsthand you've got a great program. I didn't go there, but I know several people who did. But your medical school.
It's phenomenal.
Talk just a brief little bit of time. We don't have much time left,
sure.
But a little bit about the impact of the medical school and in the backdrop of cities building their economies around
sure.
healthcare.
And the economic drivers of healthcare is absolutely outstanding. But our medical school was started 7 years ago. Very innovative program in that it's a hands-on learning experiences. It's not the same lecture, which is a different style than many. 2, it receives no state funding. So we got to keep that in mind. That this is a pure economic driver with no cost to the state. 3, we have 104 admitted students every year. Over 8,000 people apply for those 104 slots. A majority of those students we admit, of those 104, are coming from Michigan. The goal of the medical school is to train doctors to serve underserved populations, be it rural or inner city, economically depressed areas. Number 4, we've had 2 graduating classes. Their pass rate for the boards is 100%. Their match rate is 100%. Most established medical schools do not have that record behind them. We received LCME accreditation, and the medical school is absolutely booming. It has taken our university and elevated it from an R3 to an R2 research institution, which that means I could proudly say we are a leading national research university with a medical school that has yet to see its full potential, and where it's going and where it's moving. It's going to be very exciting. Over the next 12 months, we will have many exciting announcements about our medical school and some of the future direction that it has.
All right, every time I'm at our downtown studio, Campus Marshall Circle, I
yes.
look right across the street and I
yes.
see your CMU office there. So I know that you've got some key partnerships here in the city of Detroit, trying to make a big presence in the city of Detroit. And whether it's the Jazz Fest that you are very highly visible with, or I understand you're coming to your very first North American International Auto Show in a few days.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that, and we're also going to be having students down here, as I mentioned, so that are studying to be automotive engineers and tacticians and those type of things. They're going to be down here talking with executives from Ford and other places, and we're going to show them what it means to be a CMU Chippewa. All
right, once you get to your first auto show, you're a true Michigander.
All right.
All right. Dr. Davies, pleasure. Best of luck at Central Michigan University, and we'll get you back and bring us up to date on things that you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, and fire up chips.
All right, fire up chips. I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the spotlight. We hope you have a great week.